Hi everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, where we're on our final day in court, and I get the impression that things are going to get very, very juicy indeed from this point on. So here we go. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Skye. My occupation, I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Darke of the Joe Darke killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time.
Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant?
Yes, it most certainly is.
Well, okay then.
What's the point of that? You sure gave in fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. 2 years ago, witness testimony. Here we go then. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. Okay, so.
It's a good thing you weren't harmed.
I passed out. I don't remember much.
That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? ...
That will soon become apparent, Your Honour. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence.
Very well, the defence may begin its cross-examination.
Well, we're assuming he has no evidence, of course. He may well do. Anyway, cross-examination time. Here we go. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. 2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct? Yes, she was second in command under the then Deputy Chief of Police Ghent. My sister, she was the best detective ever.
Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Ghent and Miss Skye used to be quite the pair.
I believe they shared the same office. That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day too. The police department, I almost did the judge's voice. The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day. Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. A man came running in and took me hostage. That was Joe Darke. A man? Yes, Joe Darke. He was a serial killer. Joe Darke was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest.
When he saw his chance, he fled the room, right?
Upon fleeing the room, Darke proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Skye and Ghent's office. There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him. Okay, so she opened the door. Neil Marshall rescued me. What was the prosecutor doing there? That day, there were 2 people present during Darke's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Ghent and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Did Ghent free him? Almost forgot about Ghent. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony.
I assumed that would also be why he was the first to run after Darke.
When Darke grabbed me, I thought I was as good as dead. And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in. I don't clearly remember what happened then, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Darke. Just then, the lights went out.
The lights?
It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out.
Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right?
So there was obviously like a bolt of lightning that sort of lit up the room. But how much she saw in detail is another question. Right, but just then lightning flashed outside again. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind.
I see.
I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman. The victim. Hear more. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago? Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial. And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw? Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. Ah, okay, a picture. Yes, I think she mentioned that before.
Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough?
Let's ask about the picture. This picture the witness drew. I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture.
Witness, would you mind if we added this to this statement to your testimony?
Yes, Your Honour. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. Okay, we saw that. It was on the back of the evidence list, I think. You drew a picture of the scene you witnessed, right? Yes, I wanted to do everything I could to help the investigation. I can still see it now, whenever I close my eyes. That's strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died, yet I never received any picture. Right, so it was on the back of the evidence list that was in Gant's thing, so he obviously took it for that reason then, maybe. Perhaps the witness is mistaken. But I did draw it, I swear. I'm not just imagining it. This picture that Emma drew, that reminds me. I guess I should check the evidence again. Well, anyway, let's continue. The scene that's imprinted an image on your mind. Can you please describe it to us? The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. That must have been a real shock. Even now when I close my eyes, I can still see it just as clearly. Tell us, what were you doing at that moment? I believe you testified that Joe Darke was holding you hostage. When lightning struck and the lights went out, Mr. Marshall jumped on Darke, I was thrown aside and the two began wrestling each other. I'm pretty sure I was watching them. Emma doesn't have any reason to lie, but Lana sure does. I need to get Emma to tell me as much about this as she can. Okay, so we back round to the beginning? Yeah, okay. Let's go round to the bit where she said about drawing the picture. It seems to have been lost. Okay, so we have the picture, right? Is it on the back of this? Was it on the back here? Rotate? Yes, there. Okay. So that's the picture. Picture is drawn on the back of the evidence list in magic marker. I've got a very bad feeling about this. Alright, so let's present this to that statement. Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet, you would insist on denying its existence. Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold.
This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident.
Please turn it over, Your Honour.
Turn it over? Turn it. Ah! What's this?
There we go. Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it, that's the picture I drew.
Nice. Indeed, two men appear to be wrestling here.
What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list.
Huh. These lists, they're different from each other.
What?
It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other.
So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? What?
Order, order! But, Mrs. Sky, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list?
Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honour. Ah, interesting. Okay. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honour.
Are you alright, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head.
If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list.
Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth.
It's possible. Let's see.
Is something wrong?
Do you even have to ask? He's having like a full-on breakdown. Sorry, Your Honour. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing. Ah, that thing. Interesting. Okay. Why would it be that thing?
That's that thing. That thing that was dancing in the evidence room.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, right? Why would that be on there? Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. I guess he was out of scrap paper. Okay, so are they saying that was Lana or Gant? Evidence list restored and updated in the court record. List of evidence, half of this list was found in Gant's desk. Okay, so we've now got a complete list, so maybe we can review that.
Very well, witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago?
Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honour. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. Maybe something about the crown from that creature thing, as they keep referring to it, has like made something pop into her mind. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. Okay, so she couldn't make out who did the murder then. She only saw the silhouettes of people. So it could be Gant after all doing the stabbing, but she couldn't make out that it was Gant and assumed it was Joe Darke because Joe Darke came into the room. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Okay, we're getting somewhere.
To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind.
And it's quite a traumatic image. Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw.
Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Darke about to murder prosecutor Neil Harris.
Not really. ...
The defence may now begin its cross-examination.
Alright, so let's go through this. Emma's picture. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. Did you draw this picture right after the incident? I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything. During that time the investigation team was reorganised. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gant and Lana Sky. 2 or 3 days later, the memory should still have been fresh in her mind.
Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black?
She said that because she only saw shadows, right? Yeah. So at the time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue? No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor. You were knocked to the floor? Darke had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when the lightning flashed. Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt. What happened after the lightning flashed? After that, I must have fainted. You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place? No, I'm sorry. The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further? What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here. Anyway, this picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw? Of course, this is the exact scene. It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives. Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? No, of course not. I'd better watch out, or he might find some way to cut my salary. I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives. So I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me.
Mr. Wright, is there something that's bothering you about this picture?
Huh? Oh, well... ... That's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind. And yet, there's clearly a contradiction here. Okay, so there's a contradiction in what she drew. Okay, so we're going to have to find out what the contradiction is in the picture that she drew. But we're out of time, so we're going to have to do that in the next one. This is getting really good. I feel like we're on the brink of like blowing this whole thing open, and I cannot wait to piece it all together. So as always, thank you very much for watching. A big thank you to my patrons, Arcades Games, Wayne Nate, Paul from the Phantom Fellows, Lyle, Hobo, Numinous, Kumadim, Paulione, Flossie the Sheep, JohnCon555, Chrissy, Paul James, Salties, and Adventure Game Geek, and I'll see you next time.